Hello, I'm excited to welcome you to another session as we get ourselves prepared for the new week. In this video, I will be taking you through my thought process on what my expectations are on the GBPUSD for the new week. And by the end of this video, you will be able to make your personal and individual decision based on the technical structure we are going to be identifying during this session. Since this is going to be a follow-up video to my previous analysis on the GPUSD, I would like us to have a review of how last week's trading session went by, how we took advantage of some trading opportunities that we were able to identify. So at the beginning of last week's trading session, we had a setup here. We initially had a channel, and that was between the 1.24450 level and the 1.2400 area. So with the channel identified around this area, we were waiting for either a breakout or breakdown of the channel to give us a signal of where price action will be going. And what we saw here was a breakdown of the 1.240 level to signal our bearish momentum, our sell position, and then we rode the move all the way down. We saw price did some rejection of the 1.22350 level, bringing price back into our entry point, which welcomed an additional position to our existing trade. So we anticipated another breakdown of the 1.240 level here. That was on Tuesday. Then we, on the 15 minutes time frame, I quickly shared this a moment after I shared the previous update here to guide our trading activities as we use the 1.24140 level as a ceiling for selling pressure. And what happened afterwards was a breakdown of the 1.240 level to signal to trigger our second position, our second sell position, and we were lucky enough to be part of this trade as we rode the move all the way down into the 1.22350, and we also anticipated adding more position at the breakdown of that structure. And in fact, we have the breakdown retest of that level, welcoming additional position at that. And during my live session on, I think on the 24th of January, I shared a simple setup around the 1.23200 level and the 1.23 area where I was waiting for a further breakdown of that structure to signal additional position. And we had that momentum there. Price broke down. Then we rode the move all the way down. A further breakdown of the 1.22850 welcome additional position. We moved our stop loss accordingly before this bullish momentum came in, taking us out of our sell positions with over 200 pips thereabout, I can remember. And we were actually profitable as at on the 24th of January on the GBP USD. Though price went through some level of consolidation phases here, we were expecting price to come back into the 1.22350 level where we had a sell window where we want to be looking out for selling opportunities. Price came within that level. We had a sell stop there, but unfortunately, I think price did not. Okay, it went our way. I think it went about 20, 30 pips thereabout before this bullish momentum came in and taking us out of that position. Then at this point, we waited for a breakout of the 1.23650 to give us an opportunity to join the rally, and that actually happened. We got our position triggered, then we waited for the 1.240 level to be broken to add more position. However, that did not happen. Okay, it happened. We saw a retest of structure. We were taken out of that position as we saw selling pressure come in again. Then we anticipated to sell if a breakdown of this trend line happens. Price continued within a consolidation phase. Then we finally saw the breakdown of the trend line. We joined the move to the downside. We took advantage of some profit there because the bullish momentum here finally took us out of our sell position at some small profit. Then later on that day, we had a simple structure on the 50 minutes time frame between the 1.24070 level and the 1.240 area, where a breakout will be giving us a signal of where price action will be going. And in fact, we saw the breakout of the 1.2407. And one thing I stated here is that we are going to be keeping the option of the 1.24, a breakdown of the 1.24 level open, considering how this area has been a strong selling niche. Though we joined the bullish momentum to the upside, price action moved like 30 pips thereabouts before we were taken out at break even, breaking down the 1.240 level, triggering our sell position. Price rode all the way down, breaking down the 1.23850, and also went on to break down the 1.23 800 level to give us some profit on that one before another wave of bullish momentum came in and we were taken out of our sell position. So it was quite a roller coaster of buys and sells for last week, but we were lucky enough to make some profit on the GBPUSD. If you really want to have a look into how we took advantage of these opportunities, I will be sharing the link to that commentaries right in the comment section of this video. And if you are watching on my YouTube channel, you will be seeing it at the top right hand side of your screen. So with that being said, let's dive into the current structure here to see what is really going on in this market right now and what are our expectations going into the new week. Well, if we look at what we have here on the daily time frame, the first thing we observe is that we have been on a bullish momentum at least since the month of September here, and as a result of that, we connected the series of higher lows here to give us that bullish trend line that you can see on your screen right now. So we have this bullish trend line after connecting the series of higher lows, and this has been the basis for our bullish momentum. And in fact, if we zoom into this current structure since the beginning of this year, price action started at around the 1.1900 level, right from a potential demand zone there, and respecting that bullish trend line, sharing a beautiful confluence with that trend line to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So since the beginning of the year, price action has moved over 400 pips in the favor of the pounds, and this is quite impressive. However, one thing we've noticed here is that as soon as price approached the 1.24500 level, what we noticed here was that we saw sellers negating all attempt by the buyers to break out of that structure. And if we look at the significance of the structure, if we go to as far back as the month of December, we saw how that level also had been a strong selling niche. Even if we go as far back as the month of May stroke June last year, we saw how that level also has been a strong selling niche in this market. So what this simply tells us is that that level is a very strong supply zone, and we really need to be very, very careful at this point, as we might likely see another wave of selling momentum come in from that structure. And the only way I think it will be comfortable for us to buy the GBP USD based on this current structure is to see an outright breakout of the 1.24500 level, probably followed with buying pressure right above the structure. Then we could actually join a trend continuation to the upside. However, to have a better perspective into what is really going on here, and to see how participants in this market has been reacting to the 1.24500 level in the last couple of weeks, we will need to scale down to a much lower time frame like the 4 hours time frame. And on the 4 hours time frame, I was able to identify a setup there which we can use to guide our trading activity and make our own personal decision as we get ourselves prepared for this week. But before I go into that details, I want us to go into the economic calendar as we have a couple of events, macroeconomic events, that will be bringing some liquidity into this market to drive price movement. Now, if we go into the economic calendar here, the first major activity, high impact activity for this week is coming up on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, we have the ADP employment change, we have the ISM manufacturing PMI, we have the Fed interest rate decision, the monetary policy statement, and the FOMC press conference. Then on Thursday we have the Bank of England's minutes, we have the Bank of England monetary policy report, we have the BOE asset, Bank of England asset purchase facility, interest rate decision, vote rate cut, vote rate hike, vote rate on change, then the monetary policy summary, and then to top it all on that day, we have the Bank of England's governor having a speech on that same day. So we really have a week jam packed with high impact event, And there is a likelihood that we are going to be having some level of volatility in this market this week. Then on Friday, we have the not almighty non-farm payroll coming up on that same day. And then we have the ISM services PMI. So we shall be looking forward to this event, and definitely participants in this market, the anticipation of this event will be reflected on the chart as price action. So going back into the chart and looking at this from a technical standpoint, I will be scaling down to the 4 hours time frame, where I said I was able to identify a simple setup that we shall be using to guide trading activity for this week. Now, looking at the 4 hours time frame, I was able to connect the series of higher lows here since the beginning of the year. As you know, we have been enjoying the bullish momentum since the beginning of the year. So we have this bullish trend line figured out here as price action consistently respects that bullish trend line. However, one thing we've noticed here is that as soon as price got into the zone between the 1.2400 level and the 1.24500 level, we have been witnessing a strong selling pressure from this area. And as you can see here, every attempt by the buyers to break out of the structure has been negated by the sellers at every point in time. And in fact, throughout last week's trading session, buyers were unable to break out of the structure, further emphasizing the level of strength for the sellers at this point. And if we consider the bullish momentum we have been witnessing since the beginning of the week, the last time we had a bullish move from the trend line was here on the 16th of January. And if we look at how long that leg was and compare to the last time price test this trend line, you can see that that leg has reduced significantly, well, further emphasizing that we might be having some reduction in momentum of the bullish in this market. So we need to take into consideration the possibility that sellers might likely come in at this area. And in that regard, I want to be seeing price action break down this bullish trend line to give me a beautiful signal that there is a likelihood that sellers might likely come in at this point. And remember that bullish trend line has been a strong one, holding bullish momentum since the beginning of the year. So if a breakdown of the bullish trend line happens here, probably breaking down the 1.23400 level here, you can see this level also has been a strong buying niche in this market in the past. If a breakdown happens, followed by selling pressure below the structures, then I would likely be thinking of joining a decline. Then if a further breakdown of this demand zone at the 1.22500 level happens, we shall definitely be thinking of adding more position. Now, if we are going to be taking into consideration the long-term perspective here, which is bullish, then we cannot ignore the possibility that buyers could suddenly take out all the sellers from the supply zone here to signal another fresh wave of bullish momentum. Now, what do we want to be looking at this point to join a bullish momentum here? In that regard, I identified this trend line here after connecting the series of higher lower highs here within that supply zone. And one thing I want to be seeing is an outright breakout of that trend line, and if possible breaks out of the 1.24500 level or 1.2400 level. Then if it is followed by buying pressure right above the structure, then I will have no choice but to plan a buy position. And if a further breakout of the 1.24500 level happens, then I will be thinking of adding more position to my existing trade. So these are my views here on the GBPUSD. So we have a simple setup we can use to guide our trading activity. I hope this video has been of immense help in making your personal decision on the GBPUSD. If it has if it has done so, sorry, kindly support this project by clicking the like button. And one thing I forgot to say here is that I will definitely be joining you in the comment section on Monday after monitoring how participants in this market will be reacting to this current structure to decide what our next line of action will be. So if you don't want to miss out on these daily commentaries I normally share, you would want to follow me on my TradingView platform at Dark Sherry, spelled DARCSHERRY, so you don't so that you can be part of the daily commentaries I normally share on all my videos. Do have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.